What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of 100 Yards of Football Sports Talk Radio. I'm your host and producer, Logan Landers, and join me here today to talk about the Notre Dame Fighting Irish, their 2024 team preview. My guy from the Elite Sports Entertainment Network, Jay McLovin. Jay, how you doing, my man? And how do we think about the old Irish out there, the Fighting Irish? How are they going to do in 24?
Yeah, thanks for having me, Logan. The number 5 ranked Notre Dame. It's going to be interesting this year, Logan. I think there's 3 expectations that I kind of have for Notre Dame. One is the O-line. I think is going to struggle versus A&M, and that is the opening game for them because it's in Kyle Field. And Kyle Field is a really tough field to play in. So I look for A&M to open up their season with a win over Notre Dame. And I think that the O-line is going to be the biggest issue for those guys. With the departure of Joe Alt and Blake Fisher, I think it's going to hurt them. I think they're going to really see that. And then the transfer out of Zeke Carroll to A&M has a strong defensive front for them, A&M has a strong defensive front. And I think for what they've lost in the O-line, is going to be a little bit too much. I think you're going to see that throughout the season. So I know they're ranked number 5, but I wouldn't be surprised if Notre Dame actually slides down a little bit. Number 2 expectation is should keep 3 of their rivalry trophies against Purdue, Stanford, and the Jewel Shalash Trophy against USC. I think there's a Legends Trophy at Stanford, and I think the Purdue one is called Shalash Trophy. Logan, some of these names I couldn't even pronounce them. I was like, okay, I'm going to say this.
I'm about to say, try saying that or spelling that 3 times.
Yeah, Shalash Trophy or whatever. So I think they do keep those 3 trophies, which will be a good plus for Notre Dame. I just don't expect them. I got to tell you, I think that O-line really kind of hurts them. They could squeak in to the top 12, but I think the O-line is going to be a huge thing for those guys. The third expectation I have of Notre Dame is that Notre Dame's weak schedule could be an issue should they be able to hold on to that number 5 spot in the playoffs. So is this team going to be battle tested enough to get into this playoffs? They don't have a very strong schedule. So that's why I kind of raise that up as a question mark. I don't know, Logan. It's going to be – they got a tough one, man. They got A&M. They got FSU. And then they got – and that's 12-1 right there. I think Notre Dame does lead over A&M 3-2 in the series, and FSU actually leads 6-5 in theirs. So that's a 12-1 right there. So I don't know. They got it's a kind of an easy schedule, but they do have a couple of tough teams in there. Riley Leonard, the quarterback, could have a 2024 breakout season. Again, I think a lot of it has to do with that. I just don't think the competition is going to be as tough on them. And I think that new offensive coordinator, Mike Denbrock from LSU, should keep the new quarterback, Leonard, in good shape. And I think he's going to help develop him really nicely. And I think the rebuilt offensive line could be an issue at the national level. So I look for that O-line to be an issue, but I think it's not something that down the road will be corrected. But for right now, Logan, I know they're ranked number 5, but I see them sliding down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, with Notre Dame, they're kind of like the Cowboys in a sense, Jane. I'm not trying to bust you here, but and they're in the sense of every year they're getting a national championship or a Super Bowl, and they've been falling short here lately, Jay. They've been falling short. So I like that, Marcus Freeman, ups and downs at Notre Dame for sure, being there for 2 years now, 2 seasons. But I like what they've got here. I like their team, obviously. Of course, you mentioned Riley Leonard coming over from Duke. A solid player, right? You're getting a senior, a guy who's had some good experience in college football and now gets to do it on a bigger stage. You've got good players, like you mentioned, Jaden Thomas, Chris Mitchell as well, Jaden Greathouse, a couple of the good receivers they've got. Of course, your running backs and Jeremiah Love and Jadarian Price. Those are your main 2 there. And I think, like I said, this team's going to look good on offense. They're going to have a good time. Defensively, you've got players like a lot of guys in the sense of you've got like Jack Kaiser, your linebacker position, who's solid. Drake Bowman, rather. Jalen Sneed helping out there too. Guys like Xavier Watts, right? Benjamin Morrison, Jordan Clark, and R.J. Ogbid, just to name a couple. I mean, this is a good team, I think, overall, Jay. This is a really solid just collection of talent. You mentioned Joe Alt being gone there on the O-line. So I think that's going to be interesting to see how their O-line can do, and they can bolster and help out Leonard in his first season with the new team. And I think that, like I said, defensively, this is a really solid team, right? I think their strength's going to be on defense this year. Like I said, last year they ranked top 10 in scoring defense at 7th, total defense overall in 5th, and also yards allowed per play, and a lot of other ones. So they've got a lot of good players, like I mentioned, Xavier Watts, Howard Cross as well. How could I forget that guy? So it's a good unit. I think, like you said, that there's some games where they're going to breeze through, but I think that if they do end up making it into a 12 team, which I think this is a 12 team type of team right here. I think that they'll get it done this year. And I think that they can get to the college football playoffs. I don't know if they're quite a winner yet because I need to see how Leonard is going to do in this new system with this new team. Either he'll mesh quick and I think it'll look good, or he might have some struggles. And who knows, Jay? We've seen players who they just might have a down year here and there. It's not to anything like they're doing wrong. It's just sometimes you go to a new team, it's not all sunshine and rainbows, and you struggle a little bit. But
absolutely.
I think that overall, like you said, when I look at Notre Dame, I think this is a team who is a top 12 team in the nation. That's based off of their tremendous defense. Obviously, offense I think might take a little bit of time, but I think this team's going to look good. Like you said, they got A&M week 1. That's a big challenge there. Like I said, pretty easy schedule for the most part. Florida State on November 9th is going to be a great one. And then USC, as you mentioned as well, to end out your season, the 3 kind of big 3 games you see there, that's going to be the test of this team, if they're really a contender or if they're a pretender, Jay. I don't know. We'll see. But I think Notre Dame, I think they've got what it takes. But we want to hear from you, though, our fans on Facebook and YouTube. Also, be sure to go download the podcast. How will Notre Dame do this season? Are they a top 12 team? Are they a national champion like a team? Or they might fall short? Who knows? But hey, as always, Jay McLovin, I appreciate you, my brother, coming on the show, talking some college football with me. I've been your host and producer, Logan Landers. Guys, enjoy your weekends, and we'll talk.